My name is Scott Challoner, and this is the Leaders Council podcast for the people who run the country and the people who keep the country running. You join us on a bright but very cool winter day here in the capital, and I'm delighted to say that joining us on today's show to hopefully add some more warmth and brightness to affairs is Dave Radley, owner of DMR Training and Consultancy, a construction training provider. Dave, very warm welcome to yourself today, and thanks ever so much for joining us on the programme.
Yeah, no problem, Scott. Always a pleasure. I think it's my third time on now, so yeah, I've been looking forward to this. It's nice to talk again.
Yeah, absolutely. Always a pleasure, Dave. And as you say, it's not your first time joining us on the show today. But just for those listeners that might be relatively new to the programme and might not have come across your earlier podcasts with us, obviously I've given a very sort of brief outline of what it is that your business does, DMR Training and Consultancy. But if you could just expand upon that for those new listeners, that would be great. What is sort of the crux of what you would do in your own words?
Yeah, we provide vocational qualifications and training to predominantly the construction industry. We're doing a lot of low carbon type qualifications at the moment, building and insulation treatment qualifications, but generally with construction companies. But we do qualifications ranging from level 1 right up to level 7 senior management qualifications up and down the country. We've been going since 2013, and we've done different things as we've gone. We've delivered apprenticeships, traineeships, standalone NVQ qualifications, and other bits of training within construction, like upskilling type qualifications. We've currently got funding. We access European Social Fund funding at the moment across Greater Manchester, Sheffield City region, and Lancashire. So we're currently offering qualifications at level 2, free of charge, basically to anyone that's eligible, whether that be companies or individuals. But as I say, we do offer up and down the country at full cost or whatever the kind of funding requirements are at the time. So, and yeah, we're going pretty strong. We've got a team of around 15, 16 at the moment, and yeah, it's going well. It's good.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And you launched the business yourself in 2013, and you've obviously steered it to quite significant growth since that point in time. Just going back to sort of before DMR Training and Consultancy came to exist, what would you say was kind of that penny dropping moment that made you feel that, going and starting your own business in education, in qualifications, was going to be the way forward for you?
I was working, before I started the business, my last job was working for an awarding organisation. I was covering the Midlands, albeit to live in the Northwest. But I was covering about 85 training centres and or colleges as a quality advisor. And I was just going around the Midlands and checking out the centres, this and the other, and seeing how qualifications and training was delivered. And I think a couple of things. One, the travelling was getting a bit too much because of personal situations, to our children and stuff. But then I kind of thought, I can have a go at this myself, and I think we can offer quite a bit here. I wanted to offer, something new, something innovative, especially like flexible. I thought, there's like easier ways of delivering these kind of qualifications and training, and if I get the right people in, I really think we can make a difference. And I think it's proved to be true. Really, I think we've done really well, and we have provided that kind of different type of support. We kind of, it's a cliche term, like they've gone the extra mile, but we really have. And that was the kind of vision I had. I just thought it could be delivered quite efficiently in different ways or modern ways. And it kind of went from there, really.
Yeah, and I suppose like one of the key pieces of advice for anybody out there that's listening to this that might have their own idea of starting their own business, it is to just kind of take the plunge and go for it, isn't it? We do have a lot of youngsters of the entrepreneurial mindset that are regularly tuned into to the podcast, Dave. And if you sort of had to share a couple of pearls of wisdom with them as to sort of how to get on that road to success, what are some of the key things that were important for you in your journey early on?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of echo what you say. You know, you just take the plunge and have a go. But I mean, I think it's important to listen to people, people that's done it before, taking the right advice. Listen to as many people as you can. I know it can kind of get distorted because I suppose you can listen to too many people and get stuck in that and kind of not make any decisions. I think you have to make some. I mean, over the years, probably more lately, really, I've delved into it more. I mean, I've lost count of how many kind of books I've read over the last kind of 2 to 3 years on, inspirational people, whether that be business people, sports people, and different people's journeys. But prior to that, I've thrown myself into anything where I can get any advice. I mean, I'm going on another course this week, which I think I mentioned before to you, the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses Programme, and that's just the latest one that I'm going on to just kind of get more knowledge and improve. We're looking to grow even more, and I still don't have all the answers. Obviously, that hence me going on the course. It's just like a 4-month course, but I've done lots with local universities in Manchester of high growth programs, and I've listened to everything I could, and then from networking events beyond that, kind of gone and probably hassled people actually. It's that old thing of if you don't know the answer, just go and ask a question. And yeah, I've just kind of soaked up everything I can, but I would give it a go. I mean, you're never going to know unless you give it a go. I wouldn't suggest being reckless to anybody. I'd say all the usual stuff. Do your numbers and do your homework first. But yeah, I think it's been well worth it for me anyway. And as I say, it's not necessarily been too much of a lonely journey. I think it can get like that, but there's a lot of help and support about it from yourself. Throughout, especially the last 2 years, the Leaders Council, the Zoom meetings, the webinars, the stuff like that that's been going on. There's support everywhere if you're willing to look for it and you're willing to embrace it, I think. So yeah, I'd say go for it and just kind of keep your eyes open on what's around you. You never know. You might do okay to it.
Yeah, and I think it's very important, as you say there, to be willing to obviously reach out to other business leaders and just remember that when it comes to running a business, it's not just about business growth, it's about kind of self-growth as well, isn't it? Self-development. We're never a finished product, a finished article, even at the helm of a business, and there's always something else for us to learn. And I think you've got to sort of open your eyes to that mindset and realize that, I'm not a finished product. I'm not alone in this. And there's always something else that I can, go out and find, go out and learn and go and be inspired by. Have you encountered in your career, Dave, any sort of standout individuals from any literature you've read or any courses that you've been on that you feel have really had that impression on you and sort of helped you become sort of a better business leader?
Individuals wise, I've been on quite a lot with Manchester Uni in probably the early days, really. I've got a couple of people who I'd call good friends now, people like people called Pete Wild, people called Wes Seal, Neil Simpson, people who I've come across on kind of high growth programs. And, people, I'd say people like those who's literally changed my life over the last kind of 4 to 5 years, because what I've gone on to is kind of, become friends with those people. They're at the end of the phone at any time should I need any advice, and just with kind of not just your day-to-day business, your work-life balance, everything that goes with it, and balancing things out, planning for the future. I mean, I could list a lot of people, kind of sporting role models and stuff like that. There's supposed to be many to mention. But yeah, I think you come across people on a weekly basis, and I'm not afraid, like I said before. I mean, it's like a thing that my dad used to say, "Vindow task," and I think they must hate me turning up at these kind of events because I'm the one asking all the questions afterwards. But I just want to keep learning, and like you say, I don't think you're ever the finished product. You just got to keep learning. I think that goes for anyone. I mean, I think of late, I think if I was to say a standout person that I've like a role model that took a lot from who's kind of with the celebrity status. I follow quite a lot of what Stephen Bartlett does. I just don't go on Dragon's Den, but I've been reading his book and snippets that he puts out on social media and stuff. But like I said, the list is too long to go through now. But yeah, I think that's just a few people that I've been kind of keeping an eye on at the moment.
Yeah, individuals kind of shape us as people, don't we? The people that we encounter, but I think also experiences that we go through are incredibly important as well. And I think it's fair to say we've all had quite the experience over the last couple of years with the COVID pandemic. I mean, within business, we always experience challenges in the day-to-day, but we've never experienced anything quite like the last 2 years that we have had. And I know we have talked about COVID before when you've been on the programme with us, Dave, but from sort of the beginning of the pandemic right through to now, would you say that it's been sort of your biggest challenge overcoming the sort of issues that the pandemic has thrown at you?
I'd probably say no. I look at it a different way. I mean, I think when it all kind of came to fruition, what was going on, I think I said in the last two podcasts, it looked like an almighty challenge, and we put together a plan to get through it, which I'm not going to kind of go into again. It was more of an opportunity, and it really has been an opportunity. We saw a real upturn because we really dug deep to try and have a look at how we become more efficient. It made us react in different ways that I think we had thought about before, but people may be reluctant to embrace different things, technology, different ways of working. And I can't say it was our biggest challenge. There's been a lot before that that was really tough, and I'm sure we'll face again. But no, I think it turned out a real opportunity, and we haven't looked back. We changed how we work. I won't say drastically, but we'll become far more efficient, and we're still rolling with that. And I have no intention of looking backwards and going back to old ways. I'm not saying we've changed everything, like I said, but yeah, the efficiency is really kicked us on. And it was, a welcome opportunity. I think if I was to look back in 10 years or whatever, definitely the period when this has happened has been our biggest contributors to growth, really, I think, to date.
Yeah, it's been kind of a watershed moment for many, hasn't it? Because we've been able to kind of reflect on the way that our businesses run, reflect on the way that we are as people, and it's taught us an awful lot. And I suppose despite all the tragedy associated with the pandemic, there is an awful lot of positivity to take forward from it, an awful lot of really important lessons. And it's sort of testament to that mentality of where there are setbacks, kind of embrace them, learn from them, and use that to better yourself, rather than viewing setbacks and failures, if we call it that, as almost a terminal thing. And I suppose in kind of British culture more broadly, I think there's a bit of a temptation to shy away from failure and setbacks, and we need to kind of embrace it a little bit more, don't we? And with every setback, we've got to look for the opportunities and the lessons, the positive things that we can take from it.
Yeah, without a doubt. I would say setbacks, challenges, difficult times are definitely the ones that shaped me and the business, whether that be the business since it started or things in my life as a whole, I guess. You make mistakes and you try to learn from them, whether that's personal or business. I can honestly say, you don't, the great times, I suppose you don't tend to learn a great lot from. You have mistakes, you make mistakes, things happen, things go wrong, and you tend to go away, or at least you should do, you go and pick it apart and think, how can I do something different? And I think that's a real driver to move forward. I think, with the last couple of years, I was always like that anyway. The last couple of years of as I said before, taught us to kind of dig deep. And once you start getting in that mode of like it's almost an autopsy of what you're doing, and then how to move forward from that, you tend to get into that habit of doing it. I know we have, and I find myself now always looking at ways of how we can improve, what can we do different. I've said it a few times on this podcast about reading different books, attending different programs, listening to different people. I think it's made me go searching for answers more. You want more feedback, you want to learn more. You think, well, this is what can happen from such big challenges. In a silly way, you kind of go looking for more challenges, see how you can come through the other side of it, and it's good, it's refreshing. It's trying at times, but yeah, I think it's the only way to move forward. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's a fantastic way of sort of self-development, isn't it? And when you sort of do find those moments where a challenge comes your way and you do have to adapt and you almost have to change direction within the business to an extent, is it easier to kind of keep the morale high amongst sort of your colleagues and sort of get them on board with that change in direction to sort of execute that to the best possible effect?
You know what? I've probably wrestled with that probably at least the last 12 months more than other times. I mean, 2 years ago, we kind of, I came to the meetings to suggest the way forward with COVID, and it was a kind of rallying call to, this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep everybody in work, we're going to move forward, and keep in touch with each other, and so on and so on. And then as time went by, and we've seen ourselves get out of the situation somewhat. There's been different times. I mean, it has been pretty much all growth, and we've seen some great times over the last 2 years. And I think you can kind of, I always try to, it's my natural instinct to put out a positive message. I can't speak for any staff or people that work around me, but I'd like to think, if I'm struggling, or if there's challenges, or there's bad news to deliver, you wouldn't kind of notice that when I walk into work. In my head, I think I have to remain positive. But I think, yeah, as I say, I think I probably wrestled with that over the last 12 months, because I think you can get too positive news out sometimes, and people might get a bit complacent. I think it's better to take people with you, tell them the truth. But I think you can deliver that in a positive way.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a right or wrong answer with that. I think, people are different. Everybody's a human being in their own right. People react differently. And I think that's probably the toughest part about running a business. It's people. Everybody behaves in a different way, looks at things in a different way, perhaps not like I do. And you're kind of wrestling with how to deliver the news in different ways. I mean, there's been nothing more so than what's happened in the last 2 years, and how the message has been delivered about COVID and what's been going on, what's not been going on, and things that we could have done better or that we didn't do, and the mixed messages and so on. It's messaging, it's people. It's tough. I don't think there's a right and wrong answer, really.
No, I think you're very right. Everybody is different in that sense, aren't they? And but I do think that if you do sort of show that authenticity, but bring it across in a positive light, I suppose you sort of create a very positive culture within the business, don't you? And I think where the culture's right, where the colleagues are aware that, our leadership is looking after us and vice versa, I think when you've got a happy workforce, when the chips are down and, you have to adapt, you have to change direction, and you're in the midst of, say, a crisis situation, they're going to go above and beyond for you, aren't they? They're going to bring out the best in themselves. And I suppose it's those businesses which have had that kind of culture in place over the last couple of years that have really, really excelled, isn't it? So it just goes to show sort of the importance of that side of things.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Yeah, as I said, in the early days of the pandemic, it was a roll your sleeves up time. We're all in it together, and yeah, we really moved forward with it as a unit, and we come out the other side, and I think we're still doing that, and we're not out of it totally. There's still, we still get periods where people are off work or isolating or whatever. I mean, I've just literally picked up some snippets of news today about the next easing of restrictions and stuff like that is just going to happen a little bit early. But as I say, even until recently, we've had different people off or isolating or whatever. So it's still bringing its challenges. But as I say, I mean, when we've had people off, everybody's jumped in, covered. So I'd like to think we can keep that mentality rolling now. And I guess it's my job to make sure that happens, which again isn't easy at times. But yeah, as the kind of clouds lift, or at least we hope so, and when kind of normality resumes, I'd like to think we carry on in that way.
Yeah, exactly. We have heard announcements from the Prime Minister, haven't we, that all COVID restrictions could potentially be gone and the Coronavirus Act repealed by the end of the month, start of March. So it looks as if that full economic reopening is upon us. And do you think that this is going to be an important time now just to kind of re-unlock that full potential of business? Because as well as industry has adapted, I suppose, with staff workforces having to isolate and others having to sort of muck in and cover when that does happen, I suppose there's still been kind of less disruption than when we were in the full lockdowns, but it has still been there, hasn't it? So is this the moment now where, it's restrictions are going full steam ahead and we're now really entering that period of recovery, do you think?
Yeah, I think so, and I really hope so. I mean, I'm as excited as the next person. I think it's time to kick on, and I think a lot are thinking that now. I mean, personally, and for my business, we're really looking to kick on. We've got some exciting times ahead. We've been preparing for kind of, I won't say for this moment. I mean, we've been motoring throughout. But yeah, it really feels like the floodgates are opening, and it's a kind of opportunity to go and chase those things that you perhaps the few last kind of remnants of if you wanted to do, which was perhaps holding you back. As I say, it's some really exciting times ahead for us. Just branching out into different areas. We're getting more customers on board. More staff on board. We've got some new staff to start in the next couple of weeks, and yeah, if we can kind of start them and move them forward, without the shackles of everything we've just seen over the last 2 years, it's definitely a massive plus point.
It's fantastic, isn't it, that given the 2 years that we've had, we're even using that E word, expansion. It's brilliant to talk about. And obviously, without kind of giving the game away too much, what sort of areas are you really looking to expand the business into over this next 12 months? And what sort of kind of key projects have you really got in mind that you're going to be pushing forward?
I think we're trying to kind of grow our current customer base. But, we get a lot of repeat business and companies that kind of keep coming back to us. But then, we're just in the process of updating our website. We've got some new facilities. We're going to expand as well as our existing facilities. And we've got more staff. We've done a lot of NVQs, like work-based NVQs over the last probably 3 to 4 years, and not as much on the training side where people come off site and do a bit of training, which we'll probably go into a little bit more. We're now getting more larger companies on board that are looking to work with us for longer term projects where we're managing their training needs. We've worked in construction, should I say, for the last 9 years. But since day one, we did start working with external wall insulation, everything that comes with insulation and new modern methods of working. I mean, it was around when the Green Deal was kind of kicking about, and that was something we were really keen on. And then when that kind of stopped, we still carried on with training qualifications of that ilk, but not as much. But then I think over the last kind of 2 years and what's gone on, and the focus on net zero and all that kind of stuff at the moment, we're pretty much back into it. And over the last couple of years, we've been delivering a lot of insulation and building treatment qualifications. We're picking funding up in those areas, and we really want to kick on with that. So a lot of our companies are passing us on to other companies, and I think we can kind of expand quite a lot into that. And some other ideas in different sectors. I think what we're trying to achieve is, if a company comes to us with their training needs, we're not just pigeonholing, 2 or 3 qualifications in construction. We're covering everything. As I say, I mean, to kind of too many secrets away or kind of speak too soon because we've not got to that point yet. But yeah, I think we're trying to become like almost a one-stop shop really, and start looking after our customers that little bit better. Not that we don't anyway. I mean, our customer satisfaction and feedback and the relationships we have are second to none. But I think we just want to offer more now. I think it's that bit of loyalty too. People have stuck with us. Not the last 2 years, the last 9 years. We've got some real long-standing customers that we really want to expand on what we offer to make their lives easier. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide a service and training qualifications to help their businesses too. So we can offer more. It helps everyone.
Yeah, and it opens more sort of possibilities, doesn't it, when things like green skills and the demand for those within construction are now starting to permeate into that sort of training education sector, and that's sort of creeping into qualifications as well. So it's another thing to focus on. And I suppose at a time as well where we're talking about sort of, the great resignation, so many people sort of leaving certain roles in sectors that have had a hard time over the last couple of years, and they're looking for sort of more lucrative roles in different industries. Like, the demand for education, the demand for qualifications is only going to go up. So for the likes of yourselves, it's a very, very exciting time, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was kind of, you put it better than I did. But yeah, I mean, it's no secret. The focus is on, whatever you want to term it, build back better or the rebuild or however you want to call it. But yeah, it's time to get moving again, I think. And as I said earlier, we deal with government funding. We offer training, qualifications, with what's needed. And, the funding naturally is kind of sent into the areas where we need to develop. As you alluded to there, that, there's people, totally changing industries. There's industries popping up, jobs popping up that didn't exist before. And as a training provider, you really are right in the middle of it. There's probably never been a better time. I think over the last kind of 2 to 3 months, all I seem to have been doing is writing bids for different bits of funding. I finished the last one last Friday to the Construction Industry Training Board. They've released a lot of funding. And it's the same stuff, they're going out to industry and asking the right questions of what's needed, where's the skills gaps, how can we fill it, and then out goes the funding as it's been over the last for a long time. And we're right in the mix to get a share of that, I'd like to think. As I say, we're bidding for different pots of funding, so we can then hopefully go and offer, or expand our offer, should I say. And what we are really looking at is these areas or sectors what are really up and coming. What like I said, didn't even exist maybe 2 years ago. I don't suppose you can, as a training provider, you can't really ask for any more. If we'd have had this call probably 3-4 years ago, I'd have been kind of saying, what, funding's dried up, or we used to get a decent funding and we don't anymore and stuff like that. But I think every time I open the laptop in the morning, there's a new tender pops up, and it's really exciting. It's good to be part of. I think you kind of give you something back. People that's transferring or young people that's coming through, whatever it may be. You're giving them a real valuable career, and it's what we've done since day one, and goes back to why I wanted to start the business. I think we're providing something good.
Yeah, it's a positive thing, isn't it? The attitudes now towards technical qualifications seem to be starting to shift for the better, absolutely. And more young people are sort of becoming interested in careers in construction and other similar industries, rather than sort of being sort of squarely focused on academia as well. So hugely positive development, big news as well for addressing those long-standing labour shortages that we've seen. We talked about funding as well there, Dave, but lastly, just one thing I wanted to ask you before we wrap up today. If there's anything else that the government could do, if, say, Boris Johnson was listening to this, what could the government really do to sort of really help your sector moving forward over the next 12 months, do you think? Funding is one thing, but is there absolutely anything else that could be done?
I think it usually comes down to the same couple of messages. Funding. I'd say offer out funding in the right places. And listen to get the right info, the right intelligence, of like what's needed before you kind of put it out there. I think that they're trying to do. I think for years and years we've been trying to spread that message, especially we're in vocational training, or technical, whatever you want to call it. I think we've been trying to put that message out that it's as good as academic qualifications. I think that message needs to keep being put out there, and I think it is. I think people are trying with it. I think just keep listening to the right people. I mean, I think sometimes the government maybe listen, and I get it, because they'll go out consultations or whatever, and they want information back, and they tend to get the larger companies right up at the top of the supply chain providing feedback. I think there's probably more of a voice needed for the smaller companies. I'm not saying they don't have a voice. I just think sometimes it's distorted by the time that it gets through kind of supply chains. And I've sat in working groups and such in the past, and it all depends on who you get around the table. But you can only invite people to participate, and if you can lead a horse to water, so to speak, and you've got to get them people providing feedback. I mean, I do see the other side to it, where you get plenty of people moaning that X, Y, Z hasn't been done, but then when you was asked about it, or you was invited to contribute, you wasn't there, type of thing. But yeah, I think it's just listening to. I mean, I live in a northern town, and I think sometimes we don't feel heard enough. I know there's a lot of talk at the moment about levelling up and everything that comes with that. I'm not entirely sure how that's all going to work out, but yeah, I think if more people can be heard from places like this, I think the better. Really, I think we've got something decent to say, and as much of a voice as anyone else. I'd like to think they really take all that seriously, and really do start trying to bring on some of the other areas of the country.
I think that's very right, isn't it? And hopefully, like I say, I know Michael Gove has revealed the levelling up strategy, which is going to take place between now and 2030. And we do sort of wait and hope that it's going to have that impact of redistributing some of that wealth away from the southeast economic powerhouse and spreading that all over the country to make sure that we have an economically prosperous nation all the way through the UK, because it is so important. There is some incredible work going on in all of the regions of this great country, and everybody deserves to have their voice heard, and everybody deserves to fulfill their potential. And I think given some of those fantastic plans that you've got within your business over the next few months and years, David, it's going to be something great to keep an eye on. And I'm hoping that the next time that I welcome you back onto the programme, which I'm sure I will at some point, there'll be even more sort of positive news to share about how those expansions, those projects that you've got in the pipeline are coming along. And hopefully, we'll start to see those businesses in sort of the more provincial areas of England really starting to fulfil that potential that we talked about.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I'd like to think so, and I'm sure it will. If it's anything to go by for the last couple of years, it should be an interesting, 12 months, 2 years ahead. So, yeah, can't wait to catch up again, Scott. It's always a pleasure, as I say.
Likewise, Dave, always a pleasure welcoming you onto the programme. Wish you the best of luck over the course of this year with everything that you've got in the pipeline. Do, of course, take care and do stay safe with all still going on. And I'm sure that by the time we speak again, we'll have some real positive news to share on where the business is going.
Yeah, you too, Scott. Thanks again, and take care of yourself.
It was a pleasure, as always, to welcome Dave Radley, owner of DMR Training and Consultancy, onto today's programme. And I do hope that everybody tuning in enjoyed the interview just as much as I did. To anybody tuning in today who might own their own business or organisation, who feels that you might have your own tale of success and of innovation to share with us here at the Leaders Council, then by all means, we also want to hear from you. So why not also apply to be on the show via leaderscouncil.co.uk/apply. Until next time, to all of our regular listeners, please do take care and goodbye.